Welcome to the Earth Keeper Summit. Hi, I'm Adam Hall, and I'm excited to be here with you today. And a warm welcome to our guest, a great Earth Keeper of Mother Earth and the soul of humanity, Gary Zukav. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, Adam. It's a real joy to be here and to be with you again.
Absolutely. And for those of you that may not know much of Gary's work, Gary is a wisdom keeper, an earth keeper. He is quite gifted in sharing his heart and soul and has inspired millions. He is a teacher and an author of 4 consecutive New York Times bestsellers, including the timeless classic, The Seed of the Soul, and most recently, Universal Human. He is the founder of the Seed of the Soul Institute. I should say he's the co-founder of the Seed of the Soul Institute with his beloved Linda Francis. And Gary has been a frequent guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And for the last several decades, Gary has and continues to be dedicated to the transformation of human consciousness. He is a Harvard graduate with a degree in international studies, a former U.S. Special Forces Green Beret officer in Vietnam. Well, there's so much I could share about Gary, and I want to encourage each of you to visit his website, theseedofthesoul.com. and check out all that he and Linda have created over the years. Gary, in your most recent book, Universal Human, you shared many, many important ideas and spiritual truths about creating authentic power and the new consciousness. And what is authentic power, and what tools or experiences and processes should we adapt to create authentic power in our own personal lives?
Authentic power is the ability in you to distinguish between love and fear and choose love, no matter what's going on inside of you. For example, rage, hopelessness, despondency, jealousy, superiority or inferiority, or what's going on outside of you, such as a natural disaster or another 9/11 type event. That is authentic power. Let me share it in another way. Authentic power is the ability to move through life with an empowered heart without attachment to the outcome. And that is what each of us now must do. The new consciousness is a species-wide transformation. The old consciousness took 300,000 years to evolve. That is a consciousness that is limited to 5 senses, our 5 senses, to what can be seen and touched and heard and felt and smelled. From within that consciousness, there is only one understanding of power possible. That's the ability to manipulate and control. The new consciousness is not limited to the 5 senses. And it brings with it a new understanding of power, what we've just discussed. Here's another way of looking at that new power. It's aligning your personality with your soul. And one more thing. Now, as we move into the new consciousness, the old understanding of power, manipulation, and control has become counterproductive to our evolution. In other words, it produces only violence and destruction. It doesn't work. More than that, it used to be our good medicine. Now it's poison. So this is where we are now. We are in the midst of a species-wide transformation that is happening with startling velocity within 3 human generations, and one of them has already passed. There are hundreds of millions of us now that are multisensory or have been touched as the new consciousness has emerged within us. There are hundreds of millions of neonates that are born with a new consciousness, and they do not have the awareness that we do of the old consciousness. And so it's important to help explain to them why our world is the way it is. It's inherited from a 5-sensory species that evolved by surviving and survived by pursuing external power, the ability to manipulate and control. And now we are a multi-sensory species that evolves by growing spiritually and grows spiritually by creating authentic power. You can't stumble on it, you can't find it, you can't discover it, you can't be given it. You've got to create it. And that's what we can talk about a little bit now. First, let me give you some examples of a multi-sensory experience. Have you ever had the thought, I'm more than a body and a mind? I know I am. That's a multi-sensory thought. Have you ever had the thought, the world is not random, it's not meaningless, it's meaningful. I can learn from it about myself. It's symbolic, perhaps. That's a multi-sensory thought. Have you ever had the thought that the universe is not vast, cold, void, merciless, but it's alive, it's wise, it's compassionate? That is a multi-sensory thought. And these and countless multi-sensory thoughts are now, and experiences are now emerging in many, many people. I feel that everyone at this Earth Keepers Conference is a multi-sensory human, or you wouldn't be here. And you wouldn't be listening to this interview beyond this point, because for 5-sensory humans, souls are not really existent. They're the subject of theology or philosophy, Sunday school classes. But to multi-sensory humans, souls are real. Even if they're just beginning to be multi-sensory, you can hold the thought that your soul is not something that exists in your chest cavity. It is the essence of who you are. You are a powerful and creative, compassionate and loving spirit. That spirit is your soul. Well, how do you create authentic power? With your new perception. And even with the old perception, you can begin to entertain the idea that your personality is not a monolithic thing that is sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes joyful, sometimes enraged. It has many different parts. And each of these parts are realms of experience. And we can take those parts of your personality and, for convenience, put them in understanding, put them in 2 categories. One category we can call fear. And everything in the basket of fear has 2 things in common. Number 1, it hurts. Number 2, if you act on it, it produces destructive, painful consequences for you. Here's some examples of fear: anger, jealousy, resentment, competitiveness, superiority and entitlement. I lived with that a long time. Inferiority and need to please. And these 2 can switch, by the way. Depression, mania, needfulness. Every compulsion, such as workaholism, perfectionism, every compulsion, every addiction is an experience of fear, of the frightened parts of your personality. I'll use that as shorthand for every part of your personality that originates in fear. So when you act on anger, on jealousy, on resentment, you create painful consequences in your life that are destructive. And by the way, why are you acting on it anyway? Because it's painful. It's very painful. And you can find out how painful by recognizing it in yourself when one of these experiences comes into being in you, and not acting on it. Frustrate the need to shout, to put somebody in their place, to lash out with your words or your fist. and look inside. Look inside you, not outside. Take your attention away from the world and put it inside you. And you will see how painful these experiences are. Loving experiences we can put into the loving basket. Loving parts of your personality you experience as gratitude, appreciation, caring, contentment, patience, all of the universe. And they have also two things in common. They feel good. They feel wonderful. They produce physical sensations you want more of. And when you act on them, they create constructive, good feeling consequences. So creating authentic power requires your ability to distinguish between these two parts of your personality, types of parts of your personality, those that originate in fear and those that originate in love, as I've said. How do you do that? There are two tools that you need to develop. That's all, just two tools. And you'll appreciate them as you develop them. The first is emotional awareness. And the second is responsible choice. Emotional awareness doesn't mean saying to yourself, wow, I'm happy. Oh man, I'm sad. Or I feel grateful to you. Or you're a real unpleasant person. No, that's emotional illiteracy. Emotional awareness requires you to look inside yourself and to put your attention when you feel an emotional experience. Take anyone, let's start with the painful experiences of fear. Put your attention inside yourself and put them in your chest area and your throat area and your solar plexus area. And look for physical sensations such as throbbing, aching, stinging, stabbing, burning, contracting. Not for sensations like, that feels great. That's poetic. That has nothing to do with awareness. When you are in a frightened part of your personality, the physical sensations you will experience will be painful. Physical sensations. Then allow yourself to notice the thoughts this part of your personality is thinking, and they'll always be judgmental, critical. For example, oh, I can't do that. I'm not that good. Or she's so stupid, or I'm so stupid. There'll be these kind of thoughts. And when you feel them fully. Never attempt to suppress or repress or deny an emotional experience. Not because it's a bad thing to do, but because you can't change yourself if you're not aware of what you're feeling. And while you're feeling these things, and you're noticing the thoughts this part of your personality is thinking, put your attention into a loving part of your personality. The most loving part of your personality you can access in the moment. Think of a time when you felt loved, when you knew you were loved, or you were grateful, or you knew someone was grateful for you, not because of what you could do for them, but because of you. And then choose to act on that part of your personality instead of the frightened part. When you do that, you have just made a responsible choice. A responsible choice is a choice that creates consequences for which you are willing to assume responsibility. It's as simple as that. Learn to recognize fear in yourself. It's easy to do because it hurts a lot. Learn to recognize love in yourself. That's easy because it feels so good. And then choose love. Choose love. It's like a New Age anthem. But how do you do it? This is how you do it. And doing it creates real power in your life. Because as you challenge that frightened part of your personality, you begin to move beyond the control of it. You don't embrace it, surrender to it, love it, enjoy it. You can't once you really experience it. It hurts. It hates. It contracts. It's stingy. It wants. It is extractive. It is exploitive. And it's not going to change. So don't think that you're changing yourself. You are moving, you are recognizing destructive parts of yourself and choosing to move beyond their control. And as you create authentic power, pardon me, again and again and again, you find that frightened part of your personality begins to lose its power over you. And eventually its control over you disintegrates. That's creating authentic power. It's a meditation. It's a lifelong heartfulness meditation. And the same thing is so. When you experience a loving emotion such as gratitude or contentment or appreciation or caring or awe of the universe, don't dismiss it as just one of those great feelings that came and went. Bookmark it, benchmark it. Remind yourself, this is an experience of a loving part of my personality. And this is an experience of my soul. Your soul and the loving parts of your personality are aligned. That is why creating authentic power is aligning your personality with your soul. That's not theory. That's not a thesis. It's an observation. It's an observation that you can make. And in fact, we're born to make. Because you cannot give the gifts you were born to give while you're in the control of a frightened part of your personality. And giving those gifts is where your fulfillment and meaning and purpose and joy come into your life. And there's no other way to do it. You don't have to take my word for it. You're experiencing that right now. And as you become more aware in your life, you'll see how much of it now, as you were unaware, is controlled by fear, by the frightened parts of your personality. And that's what you can and need to change on your evolutionary path. Our evolutionary journey now requires creating authentic power. It requires creating joy in your life. It requires loving. And the way to do that is to find in yourself all of the parts that prevent you from loving. Challenge them and move beyond their control. And as you challenge, find all the loving parts of your personality and cultivate them. And those two come together. For example, when I challenge my impatience, I'm cultivating my patience. And as you do this, your life changes. That's creating authentic power. It's entirely different. The world in which we are living, the world in which we are living was built by a 5-sensory species, and everything in it reflects external power, that which is now toxic and poisonous. So, as you awaken to the new consciousness, you awaken to yourself as a spiritual being. You awaken to yourself as someone who longs for harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. These are the experiences. These are the intentions of your soul. But you're waking into a world of discord, competition, hoarding, and exploitation. A world in which life is a cheap commodity. And then you're faced with the question, how can I be a spiritual person in a world that doesn't yet recognize spirit? Millions of people have asked themselves that question. But now, Adam, hundreds of millions of people are experiencing the new consciousness. And so they are open, they are resonant, they're looking for ways to experiment with. Many of the people who've come to our events were just sampling the New Age buffet. So a little bit of this. Here's a great teacher. I'm a little bit of that too. Maybe a lot of that. I'll go back for a second helping. And here's another one. But eventually, people who come to create authentic power, no matter what their intention was, and it's always pain. They're trying to move beyond pain in their lives. They realize at a certain point, this is not an experiment with a theory. This is not another stop on the buffet. This is my life I'm dealing with. This is my life I'm changing. And no one else can do it except me. And I intend to. That is the beginning, the real beginning of creating authentic power. But before that, the beginning is the intention to grow spiritually. the openness to experiment and to look at your life in all the ways that are necessary to become a fully empowered being, a being of the light, inwardly secure and fully empowered, which means no fear, no control of you by fear. The pleasure, the joy, the exhilaration, the ongoing experience of the beauty of life, that's authentic power. That was a long description, but I hope it's helpful to the people who are listening to us.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Very helpful. There's so many treasures in there. I'd love to just follow up on a few of them, but I was struck by the humility of just being human and being in the Earth School, and what that has meant, for me personally, and just really leaning into the choice of fear or love, and embracing the power and the intention to choose that. I might have shared this with you when we were together recently, but I have a reminder on my phone to choose. With every decision I make, I either choose fear or love. On Wednesdays, I get this reminder here, and on Sundays, it's the reminder is surrender the personality to the light of the soul. And it's remarkable the discipline that it takes to embrace that authentic power.
Can I inject some things? For me, words carry consciousness, and it's important to be aware of the words that we're choosing and what we're doing. For example, the word surrender. I think everyone knows what that means. Like, I surrender. I can't. I'm overpowered. This is it. I'm giving up. But in a good context, like I'm giving it up to something better than what I am. I would suggest surrender as an active choice. And in fact, I'd suggest a different word, create, not surrender to the light of the soul. Choose to experience yourself. You can't experience a soul. You cannot. How can you experience something that is that powerful? How can you experience something of which you are an incarnation? How can you experience something that has perhaps countless incarnations and from its perspective are all simultaneous? You cannot. But you can know its intentions and you can feel its intentions, harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life. And you can feel the joy in you when you choose that instead of fear. So it's a matter of creating authentic power. And instead of surrendering to the light of the soul, you are the light of your soul. Your purpose of being here in this domain of time, space, matter, and duality and fear is to experience that. In Hinduism, they say, Sat Chit Nam. I am that. What are they talking about? Well, I am. Not I am like in some Bibles, like you there, over there, be quiet, sit still and listen to I am. No, that's not the way. In my experience, that you can understand these words. These words are, be still, look inside yourself and realize yourself. I am. Not you. I am. I am love. I am fear. I am hatred. I am jealousy. I am gratitude. I am all that is. I That is a position of unlimited love and unlimited responsibility for what you bring into being. Now, this is where we're going. Right now, we are looking at a major transformation, an epic, unprecedented transformation of the entire human species from its limitations to the five senses and understanding of powers, manipulation, and control into a species-wide transformation in a very, very, very short time into a species that is not limited to the five senses and that understands power as alignment of the personality with the soul. Now, all of that is, there's no words. Unprecedented comes close. Epic comes a little close, but it's simply more than anything we've ever had or experienced. All of that is part of a path, and we are all on that path. Beyond multisensory perception, beyond the authentically empowered human comes universal human. There are no universal humans. Universal humans emerge from authentically empowered multisensory humans. And we're working on that now. All of us are working on that right now. And it's not easy, but it is so rewarding. It is so rewarding because it is the purpose of your being in the Earth School. It is the purpose of your life. Put simply, it's to love, but that's too big, too poetic to mean anything that you can apply. You can apply emotional awareness and responsible choice. And as you do, you create, not fall upon, not surrender to, not welcome. You create with your choices authentic power. Your choices of what? Your choices of intention. And intention is a quality of consciousness. Most people think that intention is a goal. I'm going to be a father. I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 32. I'm going to be a welder. I'm going to be a carpenter. I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to go to America. Those are, you might call them out-tensions. And intention is the quality of consciousness that you bring to your actions and your words. In this realm in which we are now learning, in which you and I are speaking and we are being heard, all that we say and all that we do is powerful. And when we choose, and in this realm, there are only two intentions. And I put it this way: love and fear. The ones you're reminding yourself of with your phone. There aren't any other intentions. So everything that you do, everything that you say is motivated by, is expressing the energy of, is the embodiment of one of those two qualities of consciousness, love or fear. And you choose. If you do not choose consciously, if you're unaware of your intention, it comes from fear. And its consequences will be neither conscious nor constructive. But there will be learning in them. There is learning in every choice, in every consequence you create. You are never judged. You are judged by insecure humans, but you are not judged by the universe. You cannot make a wrong decision. You cannot make a bad decision. You are not punished for choosing fear or to act in fear. You are not rewarded for choosing love or to act in love. That's how powerful you are. Only you know what your intentions are, and no one else can set them, moment by moment by moment. Now we are approaching the heart of authentic power.
Yes, indeed. Very much so, Gary. And I'm curious about, what would you say to someone that is looking, say, for clues about the intention of their soul? How may that begin to reveal itself, so to speak, in soul being a bit abstract and non-specific and not physical in nature? But if we really want to tune in and pay attention to the loving nature of the soul, well, what may come forth for somebody? Is it through a fear experience, or can it be something that we really are working with in our authentic power and the new consciousness to create these intentions?
We are not superior because we have the new consciousness. This is just a matter of ebb and flow of evolution. We are not superior to those who do not yet have it. They will. Everyone will.
Yeah.
Are we going to look at ourselves, at them, without compassion, with superiority? Or are we going to look at ourselves as, let's go back to a word you use, humility. I would say a better word might be humbleness. What's the difference? Humility, as I've been taught it, as I'm just growing up, humility is when you lower yourself to someone as beneath the level of someone that you know you're actually superior to, but you're humble. This is humility. Yes, I honor you, but you don't really. You know that you're the one that should be honored. That's some of the energy of humility. But humbleness is entirely different. A humble person walks in a friendly world. A humble person understands through experience that everyone's path through the earth scroll is as difficult and challenging as their own. And so they don't judge. They know that someone who's cruel is in pain. They know that someone who's judgmental is in pain. Fear and pain, attachment. Attachment's another word for fear too, in behavioral terms or emotional, psychological terms. Attachment, fear, jealousy, pain, all of those things you could choose in yourself. There is nothing beyond what you can. There's nothing you cannot change in yourself. Let's take grief for an example. I've had experiences with that because my beloved Linda's body is dead. Her incarnation is gone. And I love that incarnation in every way. I love the way it looked, the way it laughed, the way it dressed, the way it loved people. Its ability to connect, that's gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But Linda is still with me now, here. How can I say that? At first I thought I was delusional because I was in so much pain. I was making that up to try to avoid it. And then Linda would tell me things that I couldn't make up. And after a while, for example, I'd walk with her up a steep hill that you and I have walked. And I'd walk every day with Linda, and I would walk with her and I'd say, "Are you with me, beloved?" And she'd say, "I'm with you, beloved." But that didn't help much. I mean, I liked hearing it. I loved hearing it. One time I was in a frightened part of my personality that was strong, and I said, "Are you with me, beloved? I need to hear that this morning." And she said again, "I'm with you, beloved. I'll tell you as many times as you ask, as many times as your heart beats." And that's when I first began to realize I'm really talking with Linda. And I have long conversations with her now that are substantive and real. They're not casual and they're not chatty. They're loving. They're wise. If you want to read some of them, on our website, I've published some personal messages that I wrote while I was going through this experience of not having Linda at home when I came home. I'm not being able to read to her at night and laugh with her and eat with her meals. But she's here, and in a way that, strange as it may sound, is substantive and real and satisfying. This intra-realm communication and co-creation and communication is where we are going. That's along the road of multisensory perception. And I'm happy to share it with you now to say that it's real. But I went through a lot of excruciating pain, and I didn't feel that I wanted to live. In fact, at one time, I asked the universe, take me now. I don't want this anymore. I can't. But in its beneficence, the universe declined.
Mhm.
And the next night, suddenly, I was ebullient with the possibility of co-creating with Linda, the things that we could do, of what we could share. And it was so dramatic, Adam. From one night to the other, the range of human emotion, from despair and a desperate plea for death, a powerless plea. Desperation and powerlessness are the same. One night, and 24 hours later, a joyful, ebullient celebration of life. That is the range of emotion in the Earth School, and it's all for us to learn about ourselves and to create authentic power. Everything is sacred. Everything is holy. You are sacred. You are holy. You don't need to treat yourself that way, but you will see eventually that you are. Linda's favorite quote from The Seat of the Soul is, eventually you will come to understand that love heals everything, and love is all there is. I think it's my favorite quote too. And it's true. So you ask me, how can I really know that I'm with the soul, that I'm aligning myself? First of all, see if you're resonating with anything that I'm saying. And if you are, that's a start. But here's what you can do. Meaning. Use meaning as your guide. Use meaning as your compass. What gives you meaning in your life? A sense of fulfillment, of gratitude, of appreciation. What is most meaningful to you? Is it buying the new house you want? Is it getting dreadlocks down to your waist? Is it a new mountain bike? Is it finding the perfect partner? Or is that coming from need and fear? But what is really meaningful? For me, it's this. I love sharing authentic power. I love sharing about spiritual partnerships. I love writing books. I love talking about it. I love supporting people in creating authentic power. That fills me with meaning. What fills you with meaning? That's for you to explore. And that's for you to follow, because when you use meaning as your pole star, it will move you in the direction of your soul.
Yes, meaning and the beingness of with Linda, just I felt the depth of that, and I continuously do in your presence, Gary, and to celebrate that journey you both shared. And recently you and I had a chance to spend some time at a very sacred place, but a very special place for you and Linda, Mount Shasta. And I'll never forget the moment. I just want to have a quick little photo of this moment that we shared our first evening out of you at the trailhead. And, this was what a moment where we it was kind of late in the afternoon. And remember, it was just a gorgeous day at Shasta. You said, Adam, let's go on the adventure, and you took me up here to the trailhead. It was late in the day, and the next thing I knew, you were charging up those steps, and I was just trying to keep up a bit with you.
I remember that too, and it's wonderful. And you can see from that mountain how powerful it is, how gorgeous it is, how magnificent it is, and how much of a blessing it is to be there and with it. Now, can you see that about everything, everywhere, and you all the time? I lived in Mount Shasta, a little village, for 13 years. Linda lived there with me for 8 of those years. But everywhere you go is sacred. Everywhere you go is special. Once a woman who was working with gangs in Los Angeles took me to their domain. It was frightening. It was frightening, but it was sacred. And they are souls like I. They are powerful and creative, loving and compassionate spirits who are living lives of fear and powerlessness and violence, but they are holy. And that part of LA is holy. There's no place on the earth or in the universe that is not. That perception is alignment with your soul. And that is authentic power. And as you create it, your life becomes that. It's not an unattainable goal that you reach at the end of a lifetime of hard work. It's not. Every time you choose appreciation instead of judgment, every time you choose gratitude instead of disdain, every time you choose patience instead of impatience, every time you choose awe of the universe instead of looking at the earth as a way to make you wealthier, you are aligning yourself with your soul. You are feeling your soul. Those experiences and those thoughts come with the energy of your soul. Realize that, and you will want more of them. And you will realize that wanting more of them doesn't help. You create more of them, and that's the only way to experience more of them. And eventually, you learn to create them more and more frequently. The frightened parts of your personality lose their power over you. The loving parts of your personality begin to fill more and more of your field of awareness, and you begin to enjoy your life and people and the earth.
Well, indeed, I felt that presence very much walking up those stairs and taking that walk with you, and just the presence of that authentic relationship that you had with the mountain of it, just in that environment, the power of that, and just listening to the journey a bit with you, and you shared with meeting Linda and writing the seed of the soul there as well. And but I do have to share with everybody, I got such a chuckle that here we were hiking up that trail and you were in your Birkenstocks.
I know. I know. That was a learning experience for me. I didn't think anyone could hike up a rocky trail except in hiking boots. I spent 13 years hiking those trails in places where the trails aren't. But I was there with you. It was so good to see that mountain again. And there we were. So I said, let's go up a little bit. And the farther up we went, the more wonderful it was. And we just did it. We just did it. And afterwards, I noticed I was wearing these loose, floppy sandals. So that's when I realized it's not your gear that makes you a mountaineer. It's not your gear. It's not what you own that makes you anything. It's what you experience.
Indeed, indeed. And just the presence of the heart and the beauty of the mountain, and the just being together there was just so indelible. And thank you for that very much. And
you are welcome.
I was also, thank you for that too, Gary. I was also really touched when you, when we swung by that little cabin in the kind of up on the hill in the woods where you lived, and you wrote this gem here, and the seed of the soul, and that was also very touching. And and some years ago, Gary, not some years ago, actually 2014, on your 25th anniversary, almost 35 years ago now, you wrote this beautiful piece of work that's in many ways more relevant than ever. Perhaps, this is a time to really pick up this book again, because I keep doing that. and it keeps revealing itself in new and different ways. But one of the things you just shared, I do want to touch on it. It's that it says, "Dear keepers of the dream of the new earth," dear keepers of the dream of the new earth, and the message. The message of the seed of the soul, there are many things there. And of course, I'd love to hear about you, that what you feel that really that message may be from 35 years ago. But one of the things that really came to me was spiritual partnerships, the relationships that we have and that we co-create, and we create with, of course, ourselves, to cultivate and create authentic power, but with others, with other souls and other partners. And I think many of us are exploring how to come into this new consciousness of spiritual partnerships and co-creation and creativity. And, what would you like to share with us a bit about that part of the journey?
Well, thank you. What I first want to share is that share is a good word, because that's what I did in the seed of the soul. Nothing that I've written, nothing that I've spoken to you about now, nothing that Linda and I have ever created an event or an experience with is mine. It comes from the universe. And I share it. And I'm blessed to share it. I love sharing. So I want to say that so there won't be the misunderstanding that I created these things and I'm sharing them, and these are my ideas. They are not. Secondly, everything that we've spoken about is current now and will be for a while. It's not as though this book was written 35 years ago, so what have we got now, Gary? Yeah. What we've got now is now. What we had then is now. And what we'll have in the future is now. This is another way of saying, don't worry about the future. It doesn't exist. Create authentic power now. That's what's important now. What you do now. What you think now. What you are creating now. You can't uncreate it in the past, and there is no future. So do it now. Eckhart Tolle has written beautifully and spoken beautifully about these things now. And his beautiful book, for example, carries the title, The Power of Now. There is no other. And it's not the moment that has power. The moment is always powerful. It's what you do with your awareness. And you talked about a new earth. That's another beautiful term that Eckhart used for a book. It's not just the earth that is new. The earth, what we're calling the earth, what we're calling the farthest reaches of the universe, is all from a perception of multisensory. A multisensory perception is a learning domain, a realm in the universe. But don't think of it as a little piece here. It's a classroom here, and there's another one there. And the universe is not like that. It's intimate, and it's present, and it's now. But yet, I can use a term like Earth School to refer to this learning domain of time and space and matter and duality. It's not just the earth that is new as you create authentic power. It's a much larger tapestry, picture, vista, universe than that. And yet it's intimate, and you are central to it. So, by the way, when we talk about Earth Keepers and the beautiful work that Alberto Viodo and others have done, I support it entirely. That's why I wanted to appear on this summit and contribute to this summit. I also feel that I do not keep the earth keeps me. It's reciprocal. From the multisensory perception, the earth is alive, it's intelligent, it is a consciousness, it is a being. This is something that we can learn and benefit from enormously from our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. That is the core of all Native, First Nation, and Aboriginal orientations, is gratitude to Mother Earth. They don't worship the earth. They're grateful for the earth in every moment, in every way. So am I. And so are you as you become multisensory. So it's not the earth that we are damaging. It is us. We are damaging ourselves when the rivers turn filthy, when the air is foul, when we can't drink the water, when heat becomes more than we can tolerate, and tsunamis, hurricanes, and earthquakes become a part of our lives in ways they weren't before. This doesn't mean that we're not affecting the earth, because we can look at the rivers as her veins, her blood. We can look at the air as her breath. We can look at fire as spirit. So we are one with the earth. We are one with everything. There's nothing you can think of or cannot think of that you are not one with. What does that mean in applied terms? It means you are very powerful, not in the ability to manipulate and control people, but powerful in your freedom from fear, powerful in your ability to love, powerful in your ability to see and feel beauty wherever it is, and it is everywhere. Powerful to live from that place. Powerful eventually, because the you that's doing all that will disappear from your consciousness. And what will remain is life with a capital L. All of that is who we are. And you might say what we're becoming. But from another perspective, we already are and have done that. So, what can you make of all of that in terms of what moves you in your life? It's a lot that you and I have discussed, Adam. And we'll discuss spiritual partnership too, if you choose. But I suggest that for those of you who are listening to us, make a note, write it down before you forget it, what you resonated with. You might have resonated with 30 things. You might have thought the whole talk doesn't apply to you. But if any of it did, write down that part. And then ask yourself, how can I apply that to my life? A spiritual partnership is a part of that. Spiritual partnership is a brand new archetype in the human experience. It came and it comes with multisensory perception. Spiritual partnership is partnership between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth. Spiritual partners know they have souls, so they're multisensory. They know that their reason for being together has to do with their souls. And they support one another in creating authentic power. They know that they cannot create authentic power for another person. And they know that no one else can create it for them. But we can support one another. For example, when Linda's soul went home, it was a completely different experience for me. It changed my life. I never experienced pain like that. It was like a mountain. It was as big as Mount Shasta, but up close. And I set the intention, the vow, the determination. I will not squander this pain. I know that it's for me because it's in my life. I will not squander one bit of it. And a few days later, I was sitting, enjoying some greenery, and the realization came to me. I don't have a reason for living anymore except to love people. I think I would have said that before, but now I am that. I didn't ask for it, but I think that intention that I set had to do with that. And my life has been changing in such huge ways ever since then. But I'd like to share with you one of them because it has to do with Linda and my experience. I experience grief. A lot of my friends write books about grief, and it's all because of compassion. They want to help people who are in that. But in my experience and in your experience as you become multisensory, there is no such thing as grief. Grief is an experience of a frightened part of your personality. It's not a thing in itself that has its own lifespan and evolution and ways that it works. It is fear. The first time I spoke, Linda and I have non-physical teachers. How else could I have written The Seed of the Soul? How else could Linda and I have shared all this? Because we are like you. Intuition is the voice of the non-physical world. We've shared that for 30 years. What is the voice of the non-physical world if not a teacher with a capital T? Not a personality like you and me, but a consciousness, an energy that enables us to understand and to see compassion and wisdom and to share them in ways that we're not able to give one another. So spiritual partners support one another. And I'll give you this example. For 1 year, I was living in pain while I was talking to Linda. 2 weeks after her soul went home, I was sort of musing to myself, to one of our teachers, about the love that Linda and I had. It was complete. It couldn't be better. It couldn't be perfect. That implies a standard. I couldn't love her more. I couldn't love her less. I loved her. And it was complete. And it was light. And it was good. And we knew that. We shared that love. And I was talking to the teacher about that. And I said, and all of that focused on one precious beloved. And the teacher said, now let your love encompass all your beloveds. So I said to the teacher, why am I hurting so much? And the teacher said, because frightened parts of your personality demand that the world be other than it is. Let that go. That has nothing to do with your love for Linda. That was the beginning of my learning experiences with our teachers after Linda's soul went home. So I was in this intense pain, and for a year, I was missing Linda. And one of the teachers at last said, I said, what can I do to experience the things that you've told me I'm going to experience? And the teacher said, you will experience them when you relax into your life and enjoy yourself. I said, but that's what I can't do while I'm missing Linda. And the teacher said, that's the point. And so I said, somewhat with a chip on my shoulder, so I'm supposed to forget about missing Linda and just enjoy myself. And the teacher said, yes. This does not mean you'll forget Linda. You will never forget Linda. And I knew he was right. I don't know if it's a he, but I gave it that gender. And so I thought about it, and then I told Linda, this is one of the conversations I was mentioning that made it clear to me that I'm talking with Linda. And well, I knew it by this time. So I said to Linda, beloved, I'm going to forget about missing you. And she said, at last. So I said, so you mean this is okay with you? And she said, beloved, it's more than okay with me. I'm thrilled. I'm exhilarated. This is good. This is good, beloved. Your love will bloom. It'll be everywhere. We have things to do together, beloved, and all of them are joyful. And then she said, bask in not missing me. relish not missing me, enjoy not missing me. And then she said, forget about missing me forever. And I could feel my heart begin to sink when she said, because I am with you here forever. These are the things I've been learning and the things I want to share with you. During that time, no one could make that pain less. They might say, oh yeah, well, my daughter died. Oh yeah, my grandmother. Oh yes, I had cancer once. But all friends can do is talk to frightened parts of your personality and try to make them feel better. They won't, and they never will. But a spiritual partner can support you. They'll say things like, where are you feeling that? Where in your body are you feeling that? Were you coming from love or from fear when you said that? Are you talking from that frightened part of your personality or about that part? That's how spiritual partners support one another. So for 1 year, even that didn't help. I was speaking with Linda and missing Linda, especially at the end of the day. When I go home and everyone else is gone and the loving people that are in my life now that I enjoyed being with, so I didn't miss Linda when I was enjoying that. They were gone and I would feel that haunting, missing, hurting, gnawing, wishing for Linda. Well, a little while ago, marked the 1 year date when Linda's soul returned home to non-physical reality. And we put a celebration to Linda video that I and our closest support team created on the website. We wanted to share it with everyone on that date to show that the end of an incarnation in the Earth School is not a time for grief and sorrow and loss, even though we were experiencing that. It's a time for celebration. And we did it. And it's beautiful. It's powerful. So look at that. It's on the front page of our website. And I also asked the team to share on the website the personal messages that I'd written. Well, the personal messages have been up for a while. But on that day, it was either the 6th of August, when we made this public privately to our mailing list, or the 8th of August, when we made it public and put it on the website. It was one of those 2 days, Adam, I stopped missing Linda. I don't miss her anymore. It was such a lifting of pain from me. It was just as though I didn't miss Linda when I'd go down to the co-op to buy food for groceries. I didn't miss Linda when she'd drive to the Bay Area for a CEU to keep her chiropractic license current. I didn't miss her. I don't miss her now. She's here. I've always known that. I was told that from the very beginning. But it's real to me now. This is all part of multisensory perception. And so now my spiritual partnership continues with Linda. My co-creation continues with Linda. And it will. And there's no end to it. That's the nature of your love, because it's not your love. That's the nature of the universe. That's the energy of the universe. And you are the universe. And you are on the beginning of a road that will take you into a full appreciation of that. And then there will come a time when you will not be able to appreciate it anymore, because you are it.
You are it. And oh, Gary, thank you for sharing the oneness with Earth, the Pachamama, with your beloved Linda, and bringing forth all that you have brought forth and shared with all of us today about authentic power, new consciousness, intentions of the soul, really taking that responsibility, really knowing that we're together in this journey. and the humbleness of it, of all of it, that brings us to this place where we get to celebrate. And as I was, perusing, just kind of round out our conversation today, I saw a quote from another beloved spiritual partner of yours, Maya Angelou, who shared this quote. She said, "When Zukav's ideas stop challenging you, you will laugh with the wonderful laughter of the discoverer who has found a new continent." Well said. Just really.
No one can express herself better than Maya, and no one did. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for honoring me with that.
Yes, indeed. And life is, I forget who said the quote, but life is way too important to take seriously. And I got a real chuckle the other day when I saw this old cartoonist, this famous cartoonist, Dr. Seuss. Maybe some of you've heard of Dr. Seuss. And he said, "Look at me, look at me, look at me now. It is fun to have fun, but you have to know how." Indeed. And, Gary, life could be very serious. And what would you say? What would you say just in the final couple words here today? Maybe there's a cure for our terminal seriousness, that we can really embrace the joy of living. And what would you offer us to embrace this joy?
I love you. I love you. I love you.
Yay.
Oh, there's such a freedom in that. There's such a freedom in that. So now look at all the people in your life that you can't say that to, and ask yourself why. Then find out why. Challenge it. Move beyond that part of your personality so that you can. And then do.
Well, I love you, and that feels just lifted me in the moment, and certainly a cure for terminal seriousness. And what a blessing today to spend our time together. Thank you for sharing you. Thank you for sharing your light, your soul. Thank you for celebrating the Earth Keeper Summit with us this year, and bringing forth all that you have over the years, Gary. And thank each of you for being present, for coming today, for celebrating life with us, for growing with us, so that we can really come together in this new consciousness as we emerge into these ever-changing times. For we are one, and together we are one. And on behalf of Gary and all of the Earth Keeper Summit team, bless you and be well.